Senator Santorum, our next question comes from Twitter and has to do with the border and the threat of radical Islamic terrorism. The question is, what is your plan for protecting all U.S. borders from threats of radicals and terrorists such as ISIS? And maybe as part of this answer, could you talk about the humanitarian crisis that's currently going on in Europe?
The border in America is unsafe, not just because we're bringing people across this country that are, as I mentioned before, that are competing with American workers. You know, I think an immigration policy, how about this for an idea? I think an immigration policy should be focused on not what are we going to do with the illegal immigrants and how are we going to get rid of them and how are we going to deal with this problem, but the immigration solution and system should be focused on how do we help America and American workers. What do you think about that? Well, we start with the border, because not only do we have people coming across who are working, we also have people coming across who are committing crimes and are running drugs and human trafficking and a whole host of other things. I introduced a border security bill 10 years ago that said we needed to build fences, walls. Now, I can build good walls too, by the way. Just like the other guy said, I can build a good wall too. And we'll build good walls and good fences. We'll put border security in place. We'll put technology in place. We will secure the border. But ladies and gentlemen, half the people who are here illegally are here because they overstayed their visa. They came into this country legally and they didn't go home like they promised. We know every one of those names. We just have a policy in this country. The policy is we aren't going to ask you to leave anymore. We're going to let you stay. Half the people, roughly. We can identify them and ask them to leave and, in fact, enforce the laws. This is simply a matter of having a president who's willing to enforce the law and not opening up our borders to people who could potentially be harmful. Do you know since 9/11, the number of people coming to this country legally from countries that have very bad records of terrorism, particularly Muslim terrorism, since 9/11, the rate of immigrants from those countries has doubled. You would think after 9/11, maybe we'd be a little circumspect about bringing people in from potentially terrorist countries. But no, it's doubled. Do you know what the Syrian refugee, which Mike just asked me about? Do you realize that the Obama administration has brought Syrians over here in the past? In fact, do you know that 70% of all refugees that have been resettled by the United Nations have been resettled where? The United States of America. And the president's out there trying to make us feel bad that we need to take more. Ladies and gentlemen, America is a great and generous country. But what this president has done with Syrian refugees, do you realize the last group, about 7,000? Do you realize all of them were Muslims? Every single one. Now, I have nothing against bringing Muslims into this country, but why from Syria did we bring in no Christians who are being persecuted more than Muslims are in Syria?
Senator, you've been a critic of...
And I would just say one other thing. If the president wants to bring 10,000 in, then I would just say to the president, you tell us who those 10,000 are. You tell us what the breakdown is of religions. There's a lot of religions that are being persecuted in Syria, and they should have a home here in the United States just like everybody else that they want to bring over.